My name's Anthony Burrill. I'm a graphic artist. I've got my own studio practice down in Kent. So I work primarily on my own self-generated projects. And tonight I'll be talking about a new book that I've been working on this year. Some other projects about an exhibition and my new Acid House record. So I am Mr. Work Hard and Be Nice to People. So I did this long, 2004, never heard of it, sank without a trace. So this is my favourite photograph of it in the bleakest office, in the shittest bit of Swindon, probably. So yeah, it's a little ray of optimism in a kind of desolate landscape of angst. A little bit like today. I really wish we'd won last night. It's shit that we lost. Can you imagine how happy we'd all be today? Oh, and I don't even like football, so... right, I'm just going to show you some stuff that I've been doing over the past 12 months. So this project kind of had its genesis a few years ago. So I'm a fan of graphic design. I'm a fan of printed ephemera. So I'm always picking stuff up, like this sticker that I just picked up. So I'll take this home and stick it into my little sketchbook. And it's something that I've always done. I've always kind of kept sketchbooks and kind of collected things. So these are sketchbooks from when I was a student back in the last century. So in those days, students like myself kind of collected things and stuck them in these things called sketchbooks. And it was all kind of like, you know, stuck in, and kind of creating sketchbooks was my main aim in life in those days. I think everyone kind of judged each other on how cool their sketchbooks were and what exhibitions they'd been to see and stuff like that. So it was like a kind of visual diary. So I've got boxes of these things, loads and loads of stuff. This was perhaps, it was a while back anyway. So I was talking to a friend of mine about all this material. And first of all, we were talking about making a book out of it. And then he said, why don't you be down with the kids and create an internet website out of it? So I said, I've heard of these things. I've heard of... So he knew somebody who could make an internet website. So I scanned in all this stuff and turned it all black and white. And I just did hundreds and hundreds of scans. And it's all lovely stuff. That's a marriage announcement from the Oldham Evening Chronicle. That's when I got married in 1996. Still going strong. Yes. So far. So this is all the material. So this is still on the internet. So you can, if you have a look for it, you can find it. So there aren't that many websites. You can get through them all pretty quick. So we made this website, and then it hung around for a bit, and then a friend of mine, Darren, who he worked with Mr. Bingo on his hate mail book. He started working for Thames and Hudson, and they were creating an imprint for crowdfunding. So it's kind of. And then he said, do you want to make this book of all your graphic ephemera into this kind of amazing, beautiful volume? It's going to be fat, on lovely paper, beautifully printed. I said, yes, of course I do. That sounds like a dream. So we started making this book and put it out for crowdfunding, and it magically reached its goal. I don't know how that happened. I think Thames and Hudson were involved somewhere along the line. So this book, so we finished designing it, and it's at the printers at the moment, somewhere in China. So it'll be it'll be going to everyone who backed it in September. We're going to have a kind of launch thing for that. So these are spreads from it with my my kind of little stories about each one of these things that I found. So it was kind of, I had like 100 objects, 100 things, and I had to kind of write a caption about each one. So I just kind of sat down and started writing, and all this stuff came out. So it was almost like a kind of little kind of stream of consciousness thing. So these are instructions of how to put a plaster on your finger. You wouldn't think you'd be able to write one paragraph, let alone 2 paragraphs. I was on a roll that day. There's more stuff like this. And yeah, look, all that, I wrote all that about that. That weird thing that you get printed on boxes. So yeah, and it's almost like, it's like with everything I do, it kind of, the material kind of leads the way, and it kind of turned into something else. So hopefully everyone's going to love it when they get it. So there's tons of just like gorgeous, scrumptious bits of stuff like that. That's lovely. I've got a particular thing about ampersands. There's quite a few ampersands in there. 2 paragraphs and a little sentence at the end, just to add extra emphasis. Yeah, 2 sexy ampersands. Handle with care. So that's turned up quite a chunk of the year. So this was in February, I think it was. Had an exhibition at Jealous, which is just up on Curtin Road up there. So Jealous is an amazing print studio. They've got the entire building. They've got a couple of floors. Big screen printing. It's a right mess. There's ink everywhere. It's like, you lean up against something, you get ink all over your brand new Carhartt jeans. Yes, that actually happened, guys. So I know them. I know them at Jealous, and I think it was on Boxing Day. I woke up with a vision. I thought I want to do some big screen prints. So I got in touch with Jealous and I said I want to make some big screen prints of my stuff and then have an exhibition. And luckily they had a gap in the kind of schedule for shows, and I kind of snuck in and did this quick exhibition. So yeah, look at that skanky old sink full of ink. It's fantastic. So there I am, observing. Just got to point out, the one in the background is nothing to do with me. Yeah, I'll get you a deal on it. So this is Ben, who screen printed them for me. He's got obviously the requisite beard for his activity. Lovely chap. It is real. Obviously the important bit, I'm just checking it's spelt right. It was. And that's me, again, admiring my work. What else can I say? Look at the look on his face. He's loving it. So come on, serious talk, this guys. So this is the exhibition, and it's like, I've always wanted to kind of do a show like this that is basically the same piece of work, just repeated over and over again. Just like that guy, Andy Warhol. You might have heard of him. So I did these prints, and it's almost like, they kind of turn into something else when you kind of show them like that. And plus people had colour options for their interior decor, palettes and mood boards and things. So yeah. So that was fun. So it was like proper exhibition in the real world, which this isn't. Yeah. This is all done on a computer. So a friend of mine who he understands the world of 3-dimensional computers a bit more than I do. And we were chatting, and I was saying, the thing about exhibitions is you do all this work, and then you kind of get the stuff photographed, the photographs look so beautiful and clean, they could almost be done on a computer. And he said, well, funny you should say that, but we could do an exhibition that's just, you know, in the 3D world like this. I was like, okay. So I kind of sent him all these kind of like square images, and we talked about doing cubes on top of each other. So this is almost like the Museum of Modern Art in New York. This is going to be my massive solo exhibition. So we kind of did this, and then we made this little nice film. Happy music. Yeah, that's how we all feel today, isn't it? It's really awful. So we did this, and then kind of so the idea is that I'll send it to galleries and then say, this is what it's going to look like, so can we actually do it for real? So it's kind of a speculative thing. So this is a project for the House of St Barnabas. So this was a kind of fundraising project. So the House of St Barnabas is on Soho Square, and it's this kind of, I think it's kind of early Georgian building townhouse that is now a private members club, but it's set up as a charity, and they kind of help homeless people kind of get back into work. So it's a private members club that you can go to and not feel like a wanker. That's their little strap line. At least it should be. So I went there. So M&C Saatchi work with them. Work on their identity and stuff like that, and their communications. And they had an idea to develop a series of typefaces based on typography found in and around Soho. So it's one of the creatives in the agency who's kind of started the project, and then he worked with a foundry called Fontsmith, and they created, I think it's 7 different typefaces, each one kind of that references a historic typeface. So this, so if you see on the last slide, across the top of the building, there's this amazing frieze of type that's been fired onto ceramic tiles and then attached to the building. And then over time, tiles have fallen off, and some idiot has put them back in completely the wrong place. So it's completely fucked up, but beautiful because of its weirdness. So it's obviously like they've gone up a ladder with these bits of tile, and it's like, oh, where does this one go? I'm not quite sure. Where do you think? Should we stick it there? Yeah, that'll do. And then it's like, well, no one's going to see it because it's right the way up there. And they've gone, yeah, that'll do. And I think these repairs were made a long time ago, and it was all covered up for a long time. So then it's finally revealed. So typeface was developed from that lettering. So that's the kind of standard one, and then that's the kind of broken one. So yeah, very satisfying. So it's a weird kind of Florentine letter form. You know, it's a complete one-off, I think, really. so this is when then I was invited to kind of make a print using this typeface. So I made a screen print. So this is lovely screen printing happening. All lovely stuff. I work with a screen printer who lives near me called Steve. He prints stuff in his barn, and it's always a treat to go there. So we kind of worked on it together and made this lovely print. So it kind of references the type, and it references the kind of ceramic tiles, and it feels quite ecclesiastical, and it's got a kind of it's quite sort of quite holy kind of feeling thing. Yeah, so it's lovely, and it's kind of the phrase kind of just came out of the idea of the way that the people kind of work there, and it's a very, very lovely thing. So now we're on to my new record, my new Acid House record, guys. So this is the big news. So last year I was in Berlin, and I was chatting to a friend of mine, David, and he's a kind of musician and DJ. So I've done stuff for his band in the past. They were called Acid Washed. And he's kind of like just amazing kind of dance music aficionado, and he's got an amazing array of kind of drum machines and analog gear in his studio. And he was saying, oh, what's next? What's your next project? What have you always kind of wanted to do? I said, I've always wanted to make a record. And he said, well, can you play any musical instruments or sing? Have you got any musical ability? I said, no, I haven't got any at all. Zero, in fact. So he said, brilliant, let's make a record. So I went out again, went to his studio, and then we spent the afternoon making daft noises on his on all his gear. And then we started patching together all this stuff, and basically it was me in the background dancing around, saying that sounds brilliant, turn it up. And that was how our collaboration worked. So then he said, well, we can press this as a record. I was like, yes, let's do that. So we found a pressing plant in Germany, and it's been pressed. And so there's going to be 300 copies. 150 are going to be the kind of the special ones. So each cover is going to have each cover is going to be unique screen print, all based on the same stuff. So it's going to be quite mental. And then we're going to sell 100 in Phonica in Soho. And we're going to have a launch at Spiritland in King's Cross. Have you ever been to Spiritland? It's amazing. Massive speakers. So here it is. Wow. So there are two sides to a record. So we did that one, and then he said, well, we need to do another one for the other side. So we did a kind of club version of the first one. So this is the club version. And if you want to hear the rest, then you're going to have to buy it in September. So that's what I've been doing this year. Thanks very much.
Amazing. Thank you very much. request.